With Amazon Prime Day barreling down on us, what PC parts should you be buying right now before the sale? What should you be waiting to buy during Prime Day and all the other sales? That's the big question when we submitted for Boost My Build, the series where we take your PC build list, we tear them up, we put them back together, and we massively increase your performance. First build we've got is Card King 74. Love the username. This is a brand new build, $900 in the United States, and the budget is just for the PC. We don't need a monitor for it. And Card King says, my hope that this build is enough to get my foot in the door of PC gaming. Now with headroom to upgrade to a better GPU later, the RAM is over the top. Oh no, I can already feel the pain on this one, but it was free from a friend and we're looking for 1440p gaming. All right, let's see what you got right after this. This video is sponsored by VIP SSD Key. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows licenses and that terrible Activate Windows watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SSD Key and get a Windows 10 or 11 OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 30% off. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom! Windows is fully licensed for a crazy low price. And they have Microsoft Office licenses too. Use the links in the video description. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. We are so close here. We're so close, but we just missed the mark. We just missed the mark. And actually we kind of fumbled away. I'm looking at this, probably about 30% performance on this. This is kind of rough. It's kind of rough. But I know where you're coming from with this build, and honestly, if you put this together as is, it's not the worst build in the world. It definitely would get you started. But let's go into this not thinking that we have to just buy this kind of GPU now and we can upgrade later. Let's think about now, because as I look at this, you finished out at $875.88, $875.88, and you got the RAM for free. So we don't have to worry about the RAM. The RAM, by the way, looks fine. We'll go through that in just a second. But what I'm really not ecstatic about here is the GPU. So we went with the ARGB 580 for $309. You can actually get a black one, by the way. It hasn't been in PC Part Picker for a while. You can get it at Newegg, and you can get it for $299 if you don't want the white one, since the rest of your build is black. So I'm just assuming either you want that as a highlight. I actually like the color contrast. Some people just want all white or all black. I like color contrast, man. Make things pop. But for $309, to me, the ARGB 580, with the advent of what else? The RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte GPU is somewhat obsolete. Definitely at this price, it is obsolete. And the reason I was recommending it before is because we didn't have the 9060 XT. We didn't know what the price was going to be. I was still expecting that GPU to come in closer to $450. The big mistake that they made last time with the 7700 XT, they only finally got it down to $349 later in its life. So this GPU to me just doesn't really compete. I absolutely love what you've done here with the CPU. If you've been living under a rock for the last couple weeks, you know that the Ryzen 9600X has been on absolute fire sale, down to $175 right now. And this is a part, talk about Prime Day. What are you gonna buy on Prime Day and what are you not waiting for? 175 bucks. I mean, look, what is it gonna get? 10 bucks cheaper? Maybe. It's entirely possible that the CPU will actually get more expensive during Prime Day. We have seen that before. I'd snap this up at $175. I checked the Ryzen 7600, 7600X. It's only $5 cheaper. I would definitely pick up the 9600X instead. It's about 5% better than the 7600X for $5. That is pretty much the best price for performance you're gonna get out there. For the cooler, we went with the A-Cooling SE214XT. This is one of my favorite recommendations out there. It's like $16.19. When we went through how like comparing building a PC right now versus a couple years ago when everyone says, oh, the GPU market was so great, we looked at coolers, for instance. A cooler of this performance level that would cool this level of CPU used to cost you $50. Now it costs you $16. That's insane. This is a great performer. Obviously, there's a ton of other great ones out there if you don't want to use this one for some reason. I'm gonna push pause on your motherboard here. I generally like the ASRock B850M Pro RS Wi-Fi, but right now it's $160. It's out of stock at Newegg, and ASRock has refreshed a number of their motherboards out there, including their low-end B850 motherboards to now have PCIe Gen 5 GPU slots on them, and some of their B650s to also have, then what's the difference, right, between B850 and B650? There's no difference if that's what you're gonna do with it. So they've got some refreshed motherboards out there. I'm not ready to spend $160 for this motherboard. It's a budget tier motherboard when there's some better options out there to help us save some money and pump up this GPU. For the RAM, you went with Corsair Vengeance RGB DDR5 6000 CL30. You got this free from a friend, and this is a 64 gigabyte kit, 2x32 gigabytes. You have a very, very nice friend, because look at the price on that thing, $255. Now, for those of you at home building this, you don't need 64 gigs. In fact, you could probably count the number of times that your system will actually utilize the additional RAM over 32 gigs on one hand, and probably will never actually happen in the life of your system. So you do not need 64 gigs. 16 gigs is too small, and also most DDR5 kits come in 32 gigabytes. That's our sweet spot. Generally will cost us between $85 and $100 for this RAM, which is good speed, by the way. You went with the Crucial P3 Plus 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, $56. No muss, no fuss. I love it. There's a ton of good budget NVMe drives, and you know you don't need to overspend on your SSD, so 2 thumbs up. So the Cooler Master Elite 301, which I know you've already purchased, so we're gonna have to work with this. This is a case I really wanted to put in our best PC case 2025 video. What year is it right now? I don't even know. This is a case I wanted to put in our best PC case 2025 video, except at the time, it cost $60 and it came with only 3 front fans. It didn't come with a rear fan. I felt like for that price, Cooler Master just couldn't do it. Why can't you just throw another fan in there? But they've cut the price of this thing to $50. However, I see it's out of stock and now it's like $85. You got it for $55, which is 2 thumbs up. But yes, either we're gonna need to take one of the fans here and move it to the back, which we may not be able to do depending on how cheap the fans are and the wiring, or we're gonna need to get an additional fan, which is what you did. You went and picked up an id cooling ARGB fan for $12. There are some Thermaltake fans, a 3-pack that I really like for $13, where you get 3 fans instead. You could consider that instead. For the PSU, this is an area where we massively overspent. We went with an A-tier rated PSU. There's nothing wrong with this PSU. This is actually a phenomenal PSU, and this is actually a good deal right now. I probably would not even wait for Prime Day on a deal like this, because $89 for 750 watt, A-tier rated on the SPL tier list, 2 thumbs up. But our build does not need anywhere near 750 watts. It just doesn't. We could get away with 650, and we could go with a C-tier rated unit that would give us the money that we need to upgrade our GPU and just completely vault us to another performance tier. So for $875.88, you came very, very close. And again, there's nothing absolutely wrong with this build. We're just leaving 30% plus performance on the table and FSR 4 over, Intel's solution out there. I just feel like we gotta find a way to upgrade this. I called this the $870 insane 1440p gaming PC build. Man, you are gonna love this thing. We're gonna get way more performance than you were looking at, and we're gonna spend less money. That's the great thing, right? We're gonna spend about 10, 15, almost $20 less than you were spending. In fact, I finished out at $868.68. I'm actually going to give you a couple options here, like on the motherboard and some other things, if you want to spend that money back in and come up to $900. But let's jump into what else, the GPU. We went with what I feel like is just a complete savior for the GPU market. That is the RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte. Now this thing just launched and it's still almost at MSRP, $369. MSRP is $349. To me, that's close enough right now. I know this thing will fall over time, but you're looking to build something around Prime Day with all these other great sales going on. You're gonna get all these other components that's super cheap. And for $369, we're gonna get an insane amount of performance, which we'll go over in just a moment. If you don't want the ASRock Challenger, the Power Color, not the Fighter, but the Reaper's in stock, some of the other more MSRP-ish ones, I like the Challenger just because it's got a little RGB to it. I think it could add a little color, but go ahead and pick the one that you want. In terms of performance, let's start off. Where's the ARC B580? Oh my goodness, it's all the way down there at 53 average FPS at 1440p across 18 games. Now this is TechSpot's RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte review. So this is 18 game average, 1440p ultra settings. Obviously game at high, not at ultra. These are worst case scenarios. So mostly the ARC B580 will guarantee you about 60 plus average FPS at 1440p. And it's a good GPU, but there are some driver issues from time to time. There's some support issues with some games. Starfield continues to be the bane of its existence for some reason. Look at the RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte for not that much more money. My goodness, we go from 53 average FPS up to 70, and it's getting more on the 1% lows at 57 than the ARC B580 is on the average. So you're gonna get a really, really smooth frame time experience as well. And essentially, look at that. It's basically tied with the RTX 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte, which, by the way, if we had a little bit more money, people did, Jason, should I consider that GPU? That's $429 right now. Now, the funny thing is it was $480 until the 96TXT launch. And then all of a sudden, magically, it became $429 at its MSRP. That just goes to show what competition does for the marketplace. Competition is great for consumers. So at 60, what is that, like 60, almost $70 difference right there? I think it's too great for too big a gap. I don't care, DLSS4, whatever. They will continue to expand out FSR4. I'm willing to give that up. $70 is more than a terabyte of NVMe SSD storage. It's almost 2 terabytes. It's almost a full kit of RAM. It's a much bigger CPU if I want. It's a much better cooler, much better case. There's just too much stuff that I can spend money on at the budget level where a lot of my components are already starved, that I'm not really gonna consider pumping, what, 60, $70 more into my GPU for really just DLSS4. It's not worth it to me, but if it is to you and you have the money, you could certainly consider it. I don't think it's a bad GPU at all. I just wanted to show that, in fact, we can get the 9600X at $175 right now. Now, what happened last year before Prime Day is like the 7600X, 7600, they went super cheap, and then something happened right around Prime Day, and then they went to like $200. So I'm not sure this pricing will stick around. I'm just going off what happened last year. There's no indication that this will go away when Prime Day hits, but to me, I would snap this up right now. I wanted to show you the new motherboards here. So we got the ASRock B850M-X Wi-Fi. Now this is R2.0. This is the revision 2. This motherboard was one of the ones that we named the best budget motherboards in our best Ryzen motherboard video, but then it's been out of stock for like freaking ever. I'm like, what is going on with this motherboard? Finally, I found out it's because ASRock has decided to revise it to add PCIe Gen 5 GPU support to it. That's really it. That's the only change that they've made to it that I can identify. I went through all the specs on it and everything. But yes, now it does have PCIe Gen 5 GPU slot. I don't think you need it, but you can rest easy knowing that you have it. Now listen, ASRock motherboards have had some issues with X3D CPUs out there. Fingers crossed, it appears that they have finally fixed that with the latest round of BIOS revisions, but that's just something to be aware of. However, by the time you got around to upgrading to a 9800 X3D, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get the problem solved. And unfortunately right now, a lot of the other cheaper micro ATX motherboards by other brands, they've really dried up out there. I don't know if it's the T word, the tariffs, or whatever is going on, but ASRock seems to be the sole supplier of low-cost boards right now like this. So I really do like this board, and the VRMs are okay. They're not as good as the board you're looking at, but if you want, there is another motherboard out there called the ASRock B650M Pro X3D RS. Jason, what does all that nonsense mean? It's basically the same motherboard that you were looking at, and that's it, and it's cheaper. And even though it's called a B650 motherboard, it has a PCIe Gen 5 GPU slot. So really, there's no difference between B650 and B850. I don't know why they didn't call it B850, but for $139, it's got better VRMs, and it does have an additional M.2 full bandwidth slot on it, by the way, if you do want to spend a little bit of your money. Now, I stuck it out with your RAM, I stuck it out with your SSD, I stuck it out with the case, obviously, and I just decided to go with that same fan instead. But for the PSU, let me tell you, we don't need to spend a lot of money on a budget PSU. I like the Montech APX. This is C tier rated on the SPL PSU tier list. Absolutely fine for what we're doing. We don't need a super high-end PSU for this thing. For $53, 650 watts. It's got all the connections we need. This is really where I would go. It's 30, almost 40, it's 40 something dollars cheaper than the one you're looking at, almost half price. And we're gonna take that money that we were just kind of, I don't want to say wasting, because that is a good unit, but basically not gonna really utilize, and we're gonna pump that into our GPU, and we're gonna up the performance. So for $868.68, about 20 bucks cheaper than you were looking at doing, we're gonna get amazing 1440p gaming PC with the RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte. We're gonna have access to FSR4, which is better than XeSS, which is just a still software solution out there. Right-sized PSU, everything else, this thing's gonna look amazing, and I think you don't have to worry about upgrading in the future. You've got something that's gonna work right now. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. All right, we have UNSSC01. They're looking for a new build, $2,500 budget in the US. It's just for the PC. They don't need a monitor. And they write in, I'm a first-time PC builder going from a laptop, which I consistently tortured by trying to overly mod games and playing them. It just wasn't built for, and it's obviously a piece of garbage, right? But they finally decided they need an upgrade. They want to play a lot of games on their new PC, with aesthetics being very important to them. They play Cyberpunk, they play Helldivers 2. I also play about 500 hours of Helldivers and heavily modded Minecraft. They want some pro advice, and they've watched a ton of our videos, so appreciate that. And they want their build to be the best it can be, while looking great and future-proof so they don't have to upgrade it while they're in college, and they're looking to play at 1440p. Okay, let's see what you got. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I am freaking out for you. I'm freaking out for you because look at the size of this parts list. Look at the complexity of this build. You're a first-time PC builder. Even if somebody's built one in the past, if you haven't built one in a while, builds can get super complicated really, really fast when you're throwing in high-end components. I kind of know what happened here. You were like, we're going to go way over the top. This happens a lot for first-time builders. I think we're going to be able to not only, I see some technical issues, by the way, we do need to fix in this build. It's just not overspending here. There's some technical things we want to make sure we get right. But I think we're going to be able to hone this build in for you. So let's jump in. Well, you did finish out at $2,474.14. So you're right up against your budget. But let's start at the GPU. You went with the RTX 5070 Ti. I like the MSI Shadow. Basically, just buy the cheapest one. That's like the Zotac Solid, the MSI Shadow, and like one or two other ones. Keep rotating. I think the Gigabyte WindForce. Keep rotating in is the cheapest one, and then they sell out. And then there's the next one. I would just grab the cheapest 5070 Ti you can. It's a great GPU. I still think that, yeah, it's increasingly not as good against the 9070 XT as the price for the 9070 XT falls. Now it's down to $699. You can pick up a 9070 XT. So like at $140, almost $150, yeah, I would start thinking about the 9070 XT. But if you're just like Jason, I want NVIDIA, I want DLSS 4, I want ray tracing max, this is the one to get because the 5080 is $1,400. So like trying to reach up above the 5070 Ti, it's almost impossible right now. So I do like this GPU. You went with the 7800X 3D. I love the price on it, $358. I do want to throw in a caveat here because first of all, should you wait to Prime Day for the CPU? I would buy this probably right now. This is a good deal. How much cheaper is it really going to get? Maybe $10, $15 cheaper. But let me tell you, for $2,500, I expected a couple of things off this build right off the bat. I expected a 9800X 3D, and I'm not seeing it. I'm kind of scratching my head as to why we weren't able to get there. I see overspending in some categories that are kind of crazy. I suspect that's where we're leaving some performance on the table. You're the one who said you want to future-proof and not have to upgrade in the future. I would just go full Monty on this thing with a 9800X 3D, and I think we can make that happen. Woo, Lee Galahad 2 Trinity. This is super expensive. 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. This is full on aesthetics because you don't need a 360 millimeter. You don't need this cooler for the 9800X 3D or the 7800X 3D. You could do a dual tower air cooler with it. You could do a 240 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler if you want. So we're going full aesthetics. I get it, and I see some other things in the other fans you have. You like this design aesthetic where you got the diagonal, this kind of very geometric RGB on it. Okay, cool. I can work with this. I will work with this cooler. It's going to be tough, but just know there are some other coolers out there that are quite a bit cheaper that also have good performance. I like the motherboard, ASUS TUF Gaming B850 Plus Wi-Fi. We use this in our 9800X3D build guide. At the time, it was $199. It was a better deal. Come on, ASUS, get out there. This is the kind of thing that where you might wait for a Prime Day sale, by the way, to see if the price on it goes down a little bit. I will say it's my favorite looking B850 motherboard out there, so 2 thumbs up on that. ASUS really nailed the design aesthetic with this, and it's great. It's an overall very, very good motherboard with very premium features. Okay, here's our first technical mistake. We went DDR5 6000 CL38 RAM, and I know why this happened, because you were looking for a T-Force, you were looking for this particular kit of RAM, because it does look really cool. This is my favorite kit, but for whatever reason, it looks like they're either completely out of stock. I can't find anywhere that they've got DDR5 6000 CL30 RAM in a 2x32 gigabyte kit. It's possible that just run out of the higher capacity DIMMs out there. So you either have to go lower capacity if you want this kit with good timings on it, because CL38 is slow. Yes, the X3D CPUs don't care as much, but like we're spending $2,500. Let's get the real stuff here, right? Or we basically go with a different vendor. G-Skill's got some really good looking kit. They got the new M4 Ripjaws kits out there, but they are going to be a little bit more expensive. So we got to go with one or the other. Samsung 980 Pro 2 terabyte, because it's on mega sale right now, is like, wow, look at this sale, $149 for this thing. This is a pro level drive. I just want folks to know, this is like a professional high-end video editor, people who are moving lots of files around, they're recording, people like me, recording 4K 60 footage, right, rapidly to it. This is the kind of drive that I would buy. You don't need this just for gaming. You don't need this just for regular person stuff. So, but at $150, it's like only a $20-ish overspend for drives that have DRAM on them that are Gen 4. So I'll allow that for this one. But it is one area we could look at paring back a bit. So I don't like the Corsair 5000D, and I say this from a building experience. We built a build in this thing. It is the heaviest case I have ever tried to lift in my life. No, well, look, that's an ATX size case. Obviously, there's bigger cases out there, right? Because it's got glass on the back panel as well, and the glass is super thick. This thing weighs an absolute metric ton, even without a build in it. Then you put all the parts in it, and it just feels like I could not even get, and I'm pretty strong. I go to the gym, okay? I lift weights here. Do you even lift, bro? Yes, I do. And this is a tough case. The other thing, $175, it comes with two crummy black fans that you're not even going to use. And it comes with this side panel here where you could put the AIO, and then you still need front fans, and you don't have enough fans for it. So it looks like you're not even looking to take advantage of this. If that's the case, let's get something. We can still go Corsair. Their new frame series is really nice, and I like the fans with them too. Speaking of those fans, you went with an $89. First, we got the Lee & single fan for the rear for $30. And then we got this 3-pack here of fans for $89. And listen, you can hold on to these fans potentially, but I think if we go with another case, we won't need them. I know you're looking for this geometric look to them like this, and then the RGB and then the sides. That's super cool, but they're already on the cooler. So if we kind of pare back the case, maybe we may not need to spend $90 here. PSU massive overspend. I don't know what's going on with this unit, but I would not buy it for $200. 1,000-watt unit that's A tier rated on the SPL PSU tier list. We can get for between $140 and $170. I don't know what's going on with this particular unit. Maybe it's just low stock or something, but let's get something else that's also just good. All told, $2,474.14. There's just a lot of overspending here, and I feel like we could definitely up the performance level. We can fix a couple of technical things, and we can definitely get you the design aesthetic that you feel like you want. Oh, this is a $2,400 looks good and performance build, because we are going to give you more performance, and we're going to retain that aesthetic, that design aesthetic that I think you're really, really looking for. It's going to cost a little bit less too, which is always good. So I finished out at $2,425.68. So basically, you have $75 to spend anywhere else you want in this build, including putting back that 3-pack of fans, because you'll notice I have deleted that out of here because I was concerned about the proprietary Lee & L-Connect thing and getting you to work with the 3-pin 5-volt ARGB stuff. So we'll go through that in just a second, but let's focus in on what else, the GPU. Now, you went with the RTX 5070 Ti. I think that is a good pick. It's $840. I think this is a great GPU. It's a little bit more plasticky, the Shadow one is, than some of the other ones. This is an area, if you want to spend $75 extra and get a slightly higher end 5070 Ti, you can. I really do like this one. I think this one's absolutely fine to get, and I think it's a good pick. If it goes out of stock, which it often has been doing, this Zotac Solid's another good one. The Gigabyte WindForce is another good one. There's just, I would tend to buy the cheaper one, but you can spend up to $900 if you need to. Of course, its direct competition is what else? The RX 9070 XT 16 gigabyte. I just want to give some options out there, maybe for folks who aren't as locked into NVIDIA. $699 right now. You can finally pick it up without a combo deal. And I do suspect for Amazon Prime Day, we might see this price get even a little bit lower out there. Fingers crossed, of course. So that's $699. This is for the white one. You're like, Jason, I'm building a black build. Aesthetics are important. Okay, there you go. Here's the Gigabyte RX 9070 XT 16 gigabyte. This is an overclocked model, by the way, that will perform very close to the RTX 5070 Ti for $729. And I actually really do like the build quality on it. We have this one. I like the build quality on it quite a bit. In terms of the performance difference, you can see it right here. Basically, they're within 5 frames of each other at 1440p. This is the Tech Power Up RX 9070 XT Sapphire Nitro review. So with an overclocked model, they're basically within spitting distance of each other at 1440p across a wide average at ultra settings. Of course, you do get DLSS4 with the RTX 5070 Ti, but you're also paying about $100 and $150 more potentially for that GPU. For the CPU, I went with a 9800X3D. Let's go big or go home. 7800X3D is fine. If you want to stick with that, absolutely fine. But you're like, I want a future-proof, I don't want to have to upgrade. Okay, here you go. This is the CPU that I would get given that goal. I would spend about another $100 here, and I'd take it out of some of the overspending we did on some of the design aesthetics, which we didn't really need to get the look and feel that we're looking for. This is going to give us a CPU that we don't have to upgrade for quite a while. Fastest gaming CPU on the planet right now. You could put a 5090 on this thing, have no problem whatsoever. Now, this is a CPU that, would you wait for Prime Day? Probably not. It tends to be lower stock, things like this. We have struggled to see stock in the US of the 9800X3D at times. I would just go ahead and snap it up. You're not going to save that much more on it. Probably they're not going to cut prices at all on it given how much it sells. So I would snap it up before it sells out, which things often do around Black Friday and Amazon Prime Day. For the RAM, I went with the G-Skills Ripjaw M5 RGB. This is a 64 gig kit because you wanted 64 gigs. I don't think you need it. I think you could do 32 gigs just fine, but you seem to want like massive overkill. So we're going to give you some massive overkill here. DDR5 6000 CL30 is what we want. That is the timing on this. I cannot find the Team Group T-Force Delta kit anywhere in the US at least with those timings in a 64 gig. Maybe they're just out of stock right now. So I would get these. These are a great kit. We've used them before, 2 thumbs up. In order to afford the bigger CPU, I had to squeeze some money out of the budget. So what I did is, rather than going with that Corsair 5000D, which I just think is a monstrous case, I think you're not gonna like working, you might even hurt your arm lifting that thing. It's so freaking heavy. Let's go with a case, one of the cases that I recommended in our best PC case 2025 video. That is the newer Corsair 4000D frame version of it. And this is the ARGB version. So it comes with 3 included ARGB fans. And I did think in that video that they were the typical IQ proprietary ones. They're not. Somebody corrected me on that. These are actually newer fans from Corsair that use the standard 3-pin 5-volt cable. Hallelujah, standardization. I absolutely love it. First of all, I think this thing's gonna look amazing. You're gonna top mount your AIO cooler here. You're gonna rear mount that other fan. It's gonna look super amazing. Everything is gonna work on the 3-pin 5-volt ARGB cables. You're not gonna have to deal with Lee & Lee's proprietary L-Connect. Now I know on the L-Connect, the older version of it, you could connect the 3-pin 5-volt ones, but you'll have to daisy chain them. It's a mess. It has to go to the USB 2.0 header. That's a lot for a first-time builder. I would probably stay with something more simple because in the future, you could always add this in on the bottom. You could always add this in on the bottom intake to add that cooler aesthetic if you wanted to, but for right now, I would leave it out. For the PSU, I just went with a slightly cheaper unit. I saved about 35, 40 bucks on this with a Pure Power 12M 1000 watt unit. It's 2 thumbs up. It's ATX 3.1, A-tier rated. It's a great overall unit and it looks super nice as well. So all told for $2,425, again, we're leaving you $75 in the budget. You can add the 3-fan pack if you want. You're like, Jason, I don't care. I'll figure the ARGB stuff out. You can certainly slap that back in, put it at the bottom for intake, get that cool aesthetic you're looking for. But I think we've done a pretty good job of preserving your overall aesthetic. We've pumped up that CPU to the 9800X3D. Don't have to worry about upgrading that for a while. And we fixed your RAM issue. So overall, you should get really, really good performance for under your budget. So I'll help you feel like your build is boosted. All right, Waffles is joining me for the outro here. Remember, everything is linked down in the video description, all of that. If you want to submit in the future to boost my build, just about every month we post a community post on YouTube and ask you to submit. We also post it on Twitter, Blue Sky, like Threads and all the other places we are. So follow us there and check that out. And of course, if you got value out of this video, please give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this little kitty right here who's filling in for Mr. Bear, who's decided to go AWOL today. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. What kind of cool PC content? Well, did you check out our best builds right here for June 2025? If you want to get a head start thinking about your build, check out this video right here. We go through 3 amazing builds at different price points to get you started for Prime Day. And we'll catch you on the next one.